What is glaucoma? A glaucoma is an optic neuropathy. The optic nerve and neuropathy just means it starts packing in. And we know that the major risk for it is high pressure inside the eye. So the eye maintains a spherical shape by constant production of fluid inside the eye and constant drainage out through a sieve-like mechanism. And that usually keeps the pressure between 15 and 21. But in some people, unfortunately, the drainage network inside the eye can clog up a bit. And so that means the eye is still producing fluid, but the drainage is not as good as it was. And because the eye is non-distensible, it can't stretch up, that means that the pressure goes up exponentially inside the eye. So the pressure goes up, norms up to 21, often 20s we don't get excited, 30 or above we get a bit worried about you. But even with pressure in the mid-20s, what happens is the optic nerve starts to become damaged. So if you imagine the pressure at the front of the eye is the same as the pressure at the back of the eye, and that causes the optic nerve, which goes out the back, to become squished out and damaged. And that squishing out is what causes the damage to the optic nerve. And that, if left alone, can mean that you lose patches of your peripheral vision, and eventually, if we really leave it for decades without treatment, you can go blind because of it. Nowadays, it is exceedingly rare to present that late because the optometrists are checking people regularly, and I would recommend that you see an optometrist at least every 2 years for a regular check. The danger here is glaucoma is silent. You don't know it's happening to you, and right now your pressure could be 35. You wouldn't know it. Right now you could have glaucoma damage and you wouldn't know it, and particularly if you have a first degree relative who has glaucoma, it's really important you're checked out. So mum, dad, brothers, sisters, if they've got glaucoma, really important you're checked out. The reason why it's silent is because the brain fills in any gaps in your field of vision. And you may remember from your school days when you put something into your blind spot. There's a blind spot there, and that is where the optic nerve goes out, and there's no retina there. But you don't see a black hole there, you don't see a black gap, because your brain fills it in. And this is the problem with glaucoma, in that you can lose patches of vision, but the brain fills it in. It's a progressive condition if untreated. And we treat it with drops. We give you drops to get the pressure down, and that tends to sort it out for you. However, sometimes you need laser treatment, and rarely you need surgery to get the pressure down. If you do have glaucoma, it's lifelong treatment and lifelong follow-up. But it's really important you get regular follow-up. Now, within the NHS, there are capacity issues at the moment. So if you have glaucoma or ocular hypertension, and ocular hypertension is high pressure without any signs of glaucoma yet, but it needs monitoring to make sure glaucoma doesn't happen, then your appointments may be delayed. We may say we'll see you in 6 months' time, but it's not until a year later that you're seen. If it's longer than that, we start worrying about your pressure. And if I could ask a favour and you just go to the optician for a pressure check, that could potentially save you vision. The vast majority of you will be fine and there won't be an issue. But maybe that 1 in 1,000, the optician checks the pressure, they find it high, and they can flag it up to the hospital, they can send you in, and we can alter your medication. And because it is silent and you really don't know what's happening. Of course there's private options, but the NHS should be looking after you. But you know, the cheapest and most sensible thing is to get the optician to check the pressure, and then they can make sure that everything's okay. Just because your pressure's okay doesn't mean that you will be stable. It's all about something called the target pressure. We get the pressure down to a level we think is okay for you, and then we watch you carefully. If your eye stays stable, we leave you be. If your eye gets worse, then we intervene to get the pressure lower. And sometimes people need to be run in the upper teens, some people need to be run in the lower teens. But each individual case is slightly different, and that's the whole point of the regular testing we do. And we do visual field tests where you sit at that round bowl with the button and press when you see the lights. We check the pressure inside your eye, that's really key. And we also scan your optic nerve to see if it's bowing out or not. So key messages are, if you have glaucoma, make sure you get your pressure checked, and if we're delaying your follow-up, 1, sorry about that, but it's the capacity issues that we face. 2, please get your pressure checked at the optician just to make sure it's okay. If you've got a first degree relative, you need to be seeing the optician regularly on a yearly basis to make sure you're not developing glaucoma. But the prognosis for glaucoma is pretty great, and as long as you have regular follow-up, regular treatment, and people look after you properly, then you should be safe and sound, so please do not concern yourself about it.